everyone, welcome back to my channel. In my last video we went from 0 to 700 in puzzles, and in this video we're going to go from 700 to 1000 in puzzles. Alright, so let's get started. Alright, so if you remember in my last video, the first thing we do is count up all our pieces and all our opponent's pieces to see how much material we need to win the game. So we have a queen, our opponent has a queen. We have a bishop, our opponent has a rook. So our opponent is, now remember, rook is 5 points, bishop is 3 points. So our opponent has 2 extra points. And then let's count up the pawns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for us, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for my opponent. So in order to win this puzzle, I probably have to win the rook. And if I trade the rook for my bishop, that's probably not winning because then we have equal material. And most often in puzzles, you need to have more material to win the puzzle. Okay, so when we're looking for ways to solve the puzzle, we look for checks, then captures, and then attacks. So let's try to find all the checks. We've got this check and we have this check. And that looks like all the checks that we have. So the way for our opponent to respond to a check is to either capture our piece, block, or run away. So with this check, our opponent can capture the piece. So we're going to look at the other check first, because that is the more likely answer since our piece doesn't immediately get captured. So he can block or run away, and he can run here or here because this square is covered by the bishop, this square is covered by the bishop, and this square is covered by the queen. So let's pick one of those and then just go through the line and see if we can find a winning solution. Okay, so let's say he blocks. Okay, we take it and then he's in check again. So then he has to go here or here. All right, and then let's see. Okay, so let's just pick a path he can go and then go from there. So we're just gonna say he blocks. Well, let's do a different line because if he blocks, he just loses a pawn and he's in the same situation. So let's just say he doesn't block, okay? Because then he has that extra pawn to hide behind. So blocking is probably gonna make his situation worse. So we go here. Let's say he goes here. All right, so our queen's here, his king's here. Our queen's here, his king's here. So let's again look for checks, captures, and attacks. So first checks. How many checks are there? There's this check, there's this check, and there's this check. So we're just gonna pick one of them and go through it. So let's say we go here, he goes here. Let's look at this check. Okay, so he can't go here, 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 or here, or here, so he has to go here. And then in this position, do we have any more checks? Well, we have this check. And in this position, his king can go here. So it looks like his king has escaped the situation. So let's look at another line, okay? We're gonna still start with this one check. He goes here. Let's look at this check. Okay, so our queen's here, his king's here. So in this position, he can't go here because of the pawn, he can't go here because of the queen, can't go here because of the queen, can't go here or here because of the bishop, so he has to go back to where he came from. Okay, so the queen is here, the king is here. Where are the checks? Well, we've got this check, we've got this check, or we could go back, but usually the solution is not going back because then he can just repeat moves. So queen's here, king's here. Let's look at this check. So he could go this way. Then what can we do? We can check here. Then he goes here. Oh wait, no. Yeah. Okay, he goes here, and then it doesn't look like we have any other good checks. I mean, the only good check would be just to go back, and going back is usually not the solution. So let's look at a different way. So we go check, he goes here, we go check, he goes here, we go check. Wait, what am I doing? Okay, we go here. Okay, we go here, he goes here, we go here, he goes back, we go here, he goes, so let's make this easier to visualize. Our queen's here, his king's here, so he goes here. So another check we have is to check with the bishop, and if we check with the bishop, then his only option is to go back from where he came from. So then we have a discovered attack. We can move the bishop anywhere we want, and he has to, then he's in check. Let's say we move the bishop. Okay. So again, the hardest part of solving these puzzles is just visualizing them, because if you can play it out on the board, they become a lot easier. But just thinking about the pieces on different squares on the chessboard it's very hard. It's a skill, and you just need practice. So the queen's here, the bishop's here, the king's here. So we could go here to have a discovered attack on the king, and in this position the only move is to go here, because all the other squares are covered either by the queen or the bishop. And then in this position our queen can check here. Okay, so let's think about this. Okay, our bishop's here, our queen is here, his king is here. And then, so we are checking him with our queen, and he has to go here. And then, if he's here, we can go here with the queen. And that is a checkmate. And this is a pretty common idea of a checkmate, is for the queen to be right next to the king, and for that queen to be defended. So in this final position, the queen is right next to the king is against the edge, so he can't go back at all, and all other squares are covered by the queen, and then the queen is defended by the bishop, because the bishop is right here. Okay, so in that line we were able to checkmate, but he doesn't have to do all the moves we said he was going to do. So let's look at if there's any way for him to escape this checkmate. So we go here. So I think after he went here, most of the moves were forced. So yeah, if he goes this way, that way it's bad. So let's see what happens if he goes here. Okay. In this case, our queen can go here with a check, and then he has to go here, and then we get his rook. And remember, We just have to get his rook in order to win the puzzle, so that's already winning. Okay, so that was really complicated, really hard to visualize, but I think we covered pretty much everything. So I think this has to be the first move. So let's try it. Okay. So he goes this way. Now, in this line, we can go here and win the rook. So yeah, let's do it. Alright, so once again, we are going to count up the material to see how much material we need to win the game. So I have a queen, he has a queen, I have a rook, he has a rook, and I have 2 pawns, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pawns. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I need 4 points, or no, he has 4 extra pawns, so I need 5 points to win. So I'm going to need to have his rook in order to win the game. Alright, let's go through and see what we can find. So we're looking for checks, then captures, and attacks. So we've got this check, and we have this check. Yes, I think that's it. So this check is immediately losing the queen, so we're not going to look at that first. It doesn't mean it's definitely not the answer. It just means we're not going to focus on that first. We're going to try to find a more likely solution, which is this check. Okay, so with this check, the king cannot take, he cannot block. So his only option is to run away. And he can go here, here, or here. So let's look at these individually. So we go here, let's say the king goes here. Okay. Then we have this check. And then the king's only option is to go in the corner. And then we have this check, which is checkmate. So that doesn't look good for my opponent. So once again, check. What if he goes here? Then we have this check, and then he has to go here, and then we have this checkmate. So that also doesn't work for him. So we go here. What if he goes here? Okay, let's see. What checks do we have in this position? My rook's here. His king is here. So we have this check. We also have a couple more checks, but they instantly lose a piece. So I think this is the only reasonable check. So if my rook's here, my queen's here, his king's here. The only way he can prevent the check is by pushing his pawn. And then we move the queen here, and that is checkmate. So it looks like we have found the solution. All right, let's test it out. I'm gonna go here, and then we're gonna take the pawn. Yes. All right, next puzzle. Once again, we're gonna count up all our pieces first. So I have a queen, he has a queen. I have 2 rooks, he has 2 rooks. I have 2 knights, he has 2 knights. I have 2 bishops, he has 2 bishops. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pawns. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pawns. So we both have all of our pieces on the board. So in order to win this game, we just need one piece. Now, we could just have one pawn to win, technically, that's winning, but usually in puzzles, you're not going to be winning just by a pawn. That's just what I've personally noticed. Usually, it's going to be a whole piece up, so like we just need a bishop or a knight. But if we do see the only solution is to win just one pawn, then we would definitely consider it. Okay, so let's look at checks, captures, and attacks. So let's find the checks. So we have this check, and that's the only check I see. So if we check here, he cannot take my piece. So he can block. He can block with his pawn. He can block with this pawn, or he can block with his knight. Now, if I check here, I'm threatening to take his bishop. And so it makes most sense for him to block with his knight, because if he doesn't do that, I just get a bishop and I win the puzzle. So let's say I check, he blocks. Well, if he blocks with the knight, I can still just take the knight and then still win the puzzle. So I guess either way, I win the puzzle. Now, if I take the knight, does he have anything else? Like, can he trap my queen? It's good to know, like, is that really a good move? He can move his bishop here, attacking my queen. And then, I mean, let's see where my queen can move. So let's see, my queen's here, his bishop is here. So I can't go here, I can't go here, I can't go here, I can't go here, I can't go here. Can't go here, I can't go here, so I'd have to hide in the corner, which doesn't look like a very safe place for my queen. Let's see, can he trap my queen? Well, he could put his rook. I mean, if he puts his rook here, I could take his pawn. I don't know, I think maybe it's just taking the knight, and then like if he goes here, it looks scary, but I don't actually see a way he can trap me, so I think that might be the solution, but I don't want to get this wrong. Okay, all right, we're gonna try it. We're gonna try it. I don't know, it sounds like a scary solution. Okay, he moved the pawn, so I'm just gonna take his bishop. Luckily, I didn't have to take his knight and get put in a corner. Okay, so first we're gonna count up all our pieces. So I have a queen. Oh wait, okay. I have a queen, he has a queen, I have 2 rooks, he has 2 rooks. I have a bishop, he has a knight. Bishop and knight are same material, so then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pawns, and he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pawns. So once again, we're probably just, so we're down 1 pawn, so we're probably just gonna, so technically we need 2 points to win, but we probably need a whole piece to win. So where's our checks? Our check is here. Yeah, that looks like the only check. So we take, he takes back, and I don't have any more checks, don't have any more captures. Yeah, it doesn't look good. So we're gonna move on to captures. Okay, so the queen check, we're just gonna come back to that later. All right, so capture, I mean, this is also a capture. You could also capture the pawn, which we immediately lose the queen. And that looks like the only other capture. So then, you know, we don't want to immediately lose our queen, so we're going to move on to attacks. let's see, we can attack the knight. We can attack the queen. We can also attack the queen this way. Now, one thing to note, pushing pawns in front of your king is generally not a good idea, especially if the queen is right there. So if, let's say if I push this pawn, he could just check, and if I block with my rook, he could just take it because it's defended by the knight. So generally, we don't want to mess with pushing pawns in front of our king if we don't have to. Now, if we attack the queen this way, he can just take with his knight, so that doesn't look good. Another thing to note in this position is that we do have this pawn here, and this pawn is like one step away from promoting. So let's say if we distract this rook, that's good. And we saw earlier we could take the rook, and then we said it was bad because he can just take us back and we lose a queen. However, what I didn't think about at the time was I could just make a new queen with this pawn promotion. He could, so now our queen's here, his rook is here. He could take back, but then we take back with a checkmate. So that looks like the solution. So that's another thing we learned from this puzzle, is that one thing to keep in mind when you're trying to solve these puzzles is, do you have a pawn that's about to promote? Because that could be an important part of the puzzle. All right, so let's see if this is the solution. And now we can just take his rook. All right, next puzzle. All right, let's count up our material. Queen, we have a queen, he has a queen. We have two rooks, he has two rooks. We have two bishops and a knight. So 3 minor pieces, he has 2 knights and a bishop. So those all cancel each other out. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pawns. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pawns. So we need 2 pawns to win, but most likely we'll just need a full piece to win. Okay, so we could get, we need to either grab the knight, grab the bishop, or grab the other knight, most likely. All right, so let's go through the process. Find checks, captures, and attacks. Okay, so where are the checks? I actually don't see any checks. Next, we're gonna go for captures. Okay, we could capture this knight. He takes back. Then what? Still don't have any checks. His pawn would then be attacking our knight, so we'd have to move that. We can move it here, but it doesn't really do anything there, so let's see. Any other captures? We could capture this, you know, his knight, his queen can take us back. So it doesn't look like a good idea. Okay, so I don't really see any good captures, so we're gonna move on to attacks. So where's a good attack? Well, this bishop could attack the queen. That looks like a good attack. Oops. Bishop attack the queen. Now, the problem here is he could just take it with his knight. But as we saw earlier, we can capture the knight first. We capture the knight first, and then we attack. And his queen is completely surrounded. He has no place to go. So it looks like a trapped queen. He could take us, but then we take back. So looks like a queen. And it would be a queen for a bishop. Now, how many points do we need to win? We need 2 points. Queen is 9 points, bishop is 3 points. So we're winning 6 points with this idea. All right, so let's do it. Okay, next puzzle. We're gonna count up all our pieces. So we have a rook, he has a rook, we have 2 bishops, he has 2 bishops, we have 1, 2, 3 pawns, he has 1, 2 pawns. So we need 2 points to win. But like I said, we probably need at least a full bishop, knowing how puzzles work. So let's see, where's the checks, captures, and attacks? So where are all the checks? So there's this check, there's this check, there's this check. Okay, so now in a puzzle like this, where there's a lot of spaces around the king that are cut off, it's a good idea to just see how many spaces are cut off, because we see this bishop looking here cutting off some spaces, we see this rook looking here cutting up spaces. So let's just take a look at these spaces that are getting cut off. So we know his king can't go here because his piece is there. We've got this bishop that's covering these 2 spaces. And then we've got the rook covering these 3 spaces. So this is a good thing to think about when we're thinking about what should our first check be. Now if our bishop went here, we would cover this. If our bishop went here, we'd cover this square. So both look like tempting options. So let's just pick one and see if we can see a solution. All right, so let's pick here. Okay, so if we go here, the king cannot take our bishop. He can't block, so he has to go here. All right. Now, in this position, we see that the king is aligned with the rook. Whenever the king's aligned with the rook, there may be a chance to skewer. So let's see. We go here, king goes here, then our rook can go here, and where can the king go? He can go here, here, or here. In any of those choices, we can grab the rook. So how many points do we need to win this game? This puzzle, we need at least 2 points. How many points is the rook worth? It's worth 5 points. So if we get the rook, we're winning the puzzle. So that looks like the solution. So let's try it. Perfect, and we got to 1,000, which means that is the end of the video. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned a lot from this video, and I will be making another video where I go from 1,000 to 1,200. So if you like this video, you want to see more difficult puzzles, then make sure to watch my next video. All right, see you later.